On the morning of January 11th, 2013, inside the Lowndes High School gymnasium in Valdosta, Georgia, a discovery was made that would ignite one of the most controversial, emotionally charged, and mysterious cases in modern American history. A 17-year-old student named Kendrick Johnson, a bright, athletic, and well-loved black teenager, was found dead. His body was lodged inside a rolled-up gym mat, his head tilted downward, his face swollen, his sneakers visible at the top. The official explanation came swiftly: an accident. Authorities claimed Kendrick had climbed into the mat to retrieve a shoe that had fallen inside. He got stuck, suffocated, and died. But for his parents, his friends, and later much of the nation, this explanation fell hollow, almost insulting. Too many details didn't add up. Too many questions were left unanswered. And the more people dug, the more disturbing the case became. So, what really happened to Kendrick Johnson? Was it a tragic accident or a carefully orchestrated cover-up? To understand the weight of this case, you have to know who Kendrick Johnson was. Born on October 10th, 1995, Kendrick, KJ to those who knew,
it feels like just yesterday,
was a junior at Lowndes High School. He was athletic and ambitious and dreamed of one day playing professional football. Friends described him as the kind of guy who could light up a room. His smile was easy, his energy infectious. But Kendrick was also a teenager navigating the complexities of high school in the American South. Valdosta, Georgia, is a town deeply rooted in football culture, but also in long histories of racial tension. Kendrick was popular, but like many young black students, he sometimes found himself straddling two worlds. One where he felt celebrated, and another where he quietly felt judged. His parents, Kenneth and Jackie Johnson, raised him with love and instilled resilience. To them, Kendrick was not only their son, but their hope for a brighter future. They had no idea that January 10th, 2013, would be the last time they saw him alive. The morning after Kendrick failed to come home, worry quickly set in. He was responsible, rarely late, and always checked in. At Lowndes High School, students were returning from winter break. The gymnasium was bustling, kids preparing for class, changing clothes, or tossing basketballs. Around 10:30 a.m., several students noticed something odd. Near the corner of the gym, among the rolled-up wrestling mats stacked vertically, a pair of sock-covered feet stuck out. A closer look revealed the horror: a body. When staff pulled the mat down, they found Kendrick Johnson. His head was near the bottom of the mat, his torso bent awkwardly, his arms pinned. His face was swollen and discolored. The scene was chaotic. Students screamed. Teachers rushed. Police and paramedics arrived. And yet, from the very beginning, there were signs that something wasn't right. Investigators quickly floated their explanation. Kendrick had been trying to retrieve a sneaker. Students often use the rolled-up mats to store belongings. Kendrick, they said, may have dropped a shoe inside. Instead of moving the heavy mats, he climbed in feet first. The mat was 6 feet tall. Kendrick was just over 5 feet 10 inches. According to investigators, once he reached in, he slid too far down and became trapped. With his head angled downward, blood rushed to his brain. Unable to move, he suffocated. It was a horrifying accident, but an accident nonetheless. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation ruled his death positional asphyxia. Case closed, or so they thought. For Kendrick's parents, the accident theory made no sense. Jackie Johnson recalled, "My son was not stupid. He would never climb headfirst into a mat to get a shoe." Kenneth Johnson echoed the disbelief. Kendrick was an athlete, strong, smart. He could have moved the mat. Why would he trap himself? The Johnsons demanded answers, but what they got instead were more questions. When the Johnsons received Kendrick's body for burial, they were horrified. His face was so swollen and bruised it barely looked like him. At the funeral home, Jackie Johnson noticed something else disturbing. Kendrick's body had been stuffed with newspaper, not organs. Later, the funeral home explained it was a standard practice after organs had been removed in autopsy. But the Johnsons felt it was disrespectful, suspicious, and possibly a sign of tampering. Their doubts grew when they commissioned an independent autopsy. Dr. William Anderson, a private pathologist, examined Kendrick's body and came to a startling conclusion. cause of death was not positional asphyxia. Kendrick had blunt force trauma to the right side of his neck. The wound was non-accidental. This report contradicted the state's findings. Now the Johnsons believed what their hearts already told them. Kendrick had been murdered. When they pressed for surveillance footage, things grew stranger. Lowndes High had cameras in the gym. Yet, when the Johnsons finally gained access to the tapes, they found something deeply suspicious.
There he
Hours
is.
of footage
That's our
were
guy.
missing. Several cameras showed blanks
Are you
or
sure?
skip frames. The footage
hard
that
to tell from
remained
this
showed
angle.
Kendrick walking toward the gym, but never leaving. Where were the missing hours? Sheriff's officials said the cameras had simply malfunctioned. The Johnsons didn't believe it. Even stranger, the shoes Kendrick allegedly climbed in to retrieve were never collected as evidence. Blood found near the gym wall was tested, but it wasn't Kendrick's. Investigators dismissed it as unrelated. Piece by piece, the case looked less like an accident and more like a cover-up. Rumors began to swirl. Some pointed to two white brothers at the school, one of whom allegedly had a previous altercation with Kendrick. Theories emerged that Kendrick had been attacked, and his death staged as an accident. The FBI briefly investigated. But in 2016, the Department of Justice concluded there wasn't enough evidence to prove foul play. The Johnsons accused the government of protecting powerful families in the community. Others suggested that Kendrick may have stumbled upon something he wasn't meant to see: drugs, gang activity, or even staff misconduct, and paid the price. The school denied all such theories, but the questions wouldn't go away. In 2014, the Johnsons ordered Kendrick's body exhumed for a second autopsy. This time, Dr. William Anderson again concluded blunt force trauma. But a third autopsy by another pathologist suggested positional asphyxia could not be ruled out. Conflicting autopsies deepened the mystery. Then came a shocking twist. In 2015, Kendrick's parents filed a $100 million wrongful death lawsuit against dozens of defendants, including classmates, school officials, and law enforcement. But in 2016, they dropped the suit. Rumors circulated of intimidation, financial strain, and political pressure. Still, the Johnsons didn't give up. For years, the Johnson family held protests, marches, and vigils. They refused to let Kendrick's name be forgotten. Jackie Johnson said, "We will fight until the truth comes out. I know my child was murdered." The case tore the family apart emotionally, financially, spiritually. But it also became a rallying cry for justice, especially in the Black community, where Kendrick's story felt painfully familiar. So what really happened? Perhaps Kendrick truly did reach into the mat and suffocate. A freak accident, unlikely but possible. Or evidence of blunt force trauma, missing footage, and untested blood suggests foul play. Could classmates or even adults at the school have been involved? Or was it? Some believe Kendrick's death was staged to protect powerful families, reputations, or the school itself. The missing footage and lack of evidence collection fuel this belief. The truth remains buried in contradictions. In 2021, nearly 8 years after Kendrick's death, Sheriff Ashley Polk announced the case would be reopened. Thousands of documents, interviews, and evidence were reviewed. But by March 2022, the sheriff declared there was still no sufficient evidence of foul play. Once again, the Johnsons were left devastated. Kendrick Johnson would have been in his late 20s today, maybe playing football, maybe finishing college, maybe starting a family. Instead, his story remains unfinished. His parents still fight, still protest, still demand answers. Was Kendrick Johnson the victim of a freak accident? Or was he murdered? His death hidden beneath layers of lies and silence? That is the haunting question that lingers. And until the truth is revealed, justice remains rolled up inside a gym mat in Valdosta, Georgia.